Action News, everybody. David Shuster here. It is that time again. Time for How It Should Be with our own Daniel Marins. Daniel, what do you have today?
Well, David, there was some exciting news this week in the fiscal austerity debate, and specifically that debate may be finally coming to a close. The Center for American Progress, which is a liberal-leaning think tank, but is a think tank that is most closely associated with the White House and the establishment of the Democratic Party, came out with a new paper by its managing director for economic policy, Michael Linden, essentially saying, no dice, no deal in the grand bargain. The era of trying to seek a compromise with Republicans to hit that magic $4 trillion number is finally over. We are withdrawing our commitment. David, to give you how big of an idea this is, Linden co-authored a report just a couple years ago in which he said there are very few things everyone in Washington agree on these days, but the one notion that will get heads nodding across the political spectrum is that today's fiscal policies simply are not sustainable. Well, in a piece that was called "It's Time to Set the Reset Button" on the fiscal debate, here's how Linden characterized it. Most policymakers, organizations, and policy leaders seem to be stuck in 2010. As if nothing has changed in the years since. Much has changed, however, and the debate should change with it. If we are to move forward, it's time to recognize that all has transpired in the past 3 years and begin the conversation anew. It's time to hit the reset button on the entire fiscal debate. What are the developments that Linden cites as a reason for the Center for American Progress's change of heart? Well, many things. Chief among them, that we've already enacted $2.5 trillion in deficit reduction, 3/4 of that in spending cuts when you include the sequester. Now, in addition to that, healthcare costs have slowed dramatically in large part because of the Affordable Care Act, also because private companies are getting wise to kind of how these providers game the system. And according to him, we have a better understanding of what's driving the debt. He also said the context in which we're operating is different in that the policy substantiation, the policy justification for these austerity measures has collapsed, namely the Reinhardt-Rogoff study, as we've discussed, and the disaster that's occurring across the Atlantic in Europe, Britain in triple-dip recession, Greece turning into a third-world country, things like that. Just a little thing like that, just HIV/AIDS and intravenous drug use on the rise in Greece, which normally was a developed country. No big deal. And the fact that the economy in the U.S. hasn't recovered as quickly as people thought. So, this is a really, really, really big moment. When the think tank that is most closely associated with the White House, that's quite frankly seen as carrying the White House's water. Michael Linden is a guy who, in interactions on Twitter, would always admit to me the chain CPI is a terrible policy, that it's not right for seniors who have different expenses. And yet, the Center for American Progress, their Social Security package always included the chain CPI. And yet, the Center for American Progress, whenever they were speaking publicly or putting out public papers about this, they would back whatever compromise the president was seeking, always including those kinds of cuts. And so he was in a position as being a part of this organization to say, this is our agenda, we back the White House, and we think this is an honorable goal. But I think what a lot of people have seen is, A, this hasn't worked as well as planned, and B, President's tried it. He's put it on the table. He's even put a tax reform plan on the table. It didn't include raising rates, included closing loopholes. And he's really been willing to go out there on a limb. And he was reelected in 2012, so it's not just 2010. Look, my take on this is that this debate would have been even different if Center for American Progress, that big of a player, had said, you know what, Mr. President, we're not going to follow you on this. Because the evidence really was there at the time that the United States economy wasn't recovering that quickly, that we didn't need these sudden spending cuts, that there really should have been more stimulus and everything like that. It was being voiced by people like Paul Krugman and Dean Baker. But better late than never. And this is really, really important, really pivotal. The White House doesn't have any fig leaf to hide behind anymore. And certainly Josh Barrow, Business Insider, has now come out with the 9 charts that you need to know to say that we can just cancel the sequester. And that's the next step, is mainstream organizations and figures saying, not only do we need to end this appetite for the grand bargain, but we need to cancel the sequester. It's being done by progressive members of Congress, but Center for American Progress needs to join that fight. Another development this week that I thought dovetailed really nicely with this and complemented it was that Mike Fitzpatrick, a conservative Republican congressman from a district outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania's 8th, essentially said that not only is he opposed to the chain CPI, again, a Republican opposed to the chain CPI for Social Security benefits, he wants to switch the CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, which, David, as I've discussed many times on this show, would be a basket of goods that represents the expenses experienced by the elderly, again, among which are healthcare is more disproportionate for the elderly, healthcare, housing, energy costs. That's a great progressive goal. I mean, this is pretty groundbreaking stuff. And it's all because of Alan Grayson's Citizen Whip Project. Encourage people to go to act.graysonforcongress.com. Again, act.graysonforcongress.com. Type in your zip code. He tells you you're a member of Congress. You can call him. You can email him. And this was a constituent of Congressman Fitzpatrick's. And he responded by saying, you know what? I am against this chain CPI thing. And not only that, I'm in favor of a more generous CPI. So if Republicans in Congress are saying they want a more generous CPI, if the Center for American Progress, the White House think tank, is saying no grand bargain, we've got to come together and say cancel the sequester, expand Social Security, maybe in that order. And it's time for the president to act on that. And he really has no fig leaf anymore to hide behind.
And that is definitely how it should be. It is time to expand Social Security and get rid of the sequester. Daniel Marins, great stuff as always. We appreciate it.